Welcome to Beyond Transcendence with Andrew. I'm your host, Andrew Wilson. On today's show, I have Keri Logan. Keri has helped people all over the globe. She has been a therapist and a coach for almost 25 years. In 2004, she was awarded the Best Coach of the Year at the PCH Yearly Convention. She has been voted the best hypnotherapist in her area for the past 14 consecutive years. As an author, spiritual advisor, blogger, and podcaster, please welcome Keri Logan. Welcome to the show, Keri.
Thank you for having me, Andrew.
I'm so intrigued to hear about your spiritual journey. What brought you to spirituality?
Well, the best way to start was my mom actually was a Catholic. And she got to a place she couldn't go into a Catholic church without feeling so much guilt and crying that she just left. It was just too much for her. And she entered the Inner Peace Movement. That's an organization out in Berkeley, California. And it really focused on spirituality and connecting to your spirit guides and angels and having this oneness. And she actually would do readings for people, literally card readings. And she was in a 11 by 17 spread in the newspaper, how she could do, just phone readings with people about stuff. And I always found it very, very fascinating. And so with that background, I got really intrigued about channeling, really, really intrigued about that. And I didn't know that that was my thing, my niche. And the best way to put it was when I, like most people, society following that corporate dream, I had a coworker once come up to me and say, when anyone has a problem in this office, whether it's personal or professional, they go to you. And the stuff that comes out of your mouth is just so amazing. She's like, you're not a psychologist or a therapist or anything, but they don't go to HR. They go to you. What is it? And I really believe even way back then, I was channeling because I would just have a thought pop in my head. And it was like, okay, this is what I get. Or this is what I see, or this is what I hear, or this is what I feel. And the more I, thanked it, I believe that's how the universe is. It's like a giving and receiving. The more I thanked it and recognized the difference between me and those other thoughts, it made it a lot easier to a point where it's kind of like, I like to call it a marriage. They're just always my guides and all of that. They're always there. And I think that's why a lot of clients gave me the nickname Pinhole of Light, because I will talk to someone, even just on the phone, or have them sit in that chair over there. It's like taking a flashlight and just putting it in the darkness, in the shadows and why you're stuck, what's holding you back. And it's very non-judgmental. It's very clear and precise, and it kind of gives me guidance to help people shift their perspective. Because as you know, we can get stuck on that hamster wheel. We have that negative inner critic, and we have our childhood wounds and past. And all of that is just information. It doesn't have to define you, or that's how your life is going to be forever. It's letting people know that, yes, there's hope and there's opportunities. So don't look at it as it's a problem. No, it's an opportunity.
That's a beautiful opportunity.
I just got to the place where I just started channeling a lot more. I channeled a book in 2012. And in that same time, I channeled Master the Upper Rooms. And all I was told is have everyone aligned to love, the frequency of love, which is a high, high vibration. And I did fact checking, and I found out that actually Dr. Hawkins did the scientific study, the clinical study, and came up with the map of human consciousness. And I wanted to tell him, do you know what you discovered? Like, this is the steps, literally the steps to raise your vibration. from 3D to 4D up to 5D. But he died that same year. And so I couldn't get a hold of the guy and tell him, no, this is what, I was told to, this is what it symbolizes. This is what it means for humanity, for all of humanity, the ascension process and getting us all to evolve as a species. So the best way to describe the 3D is it's anger, frustration, despair, guilt, shame, demanding egotistical pride, treating people indifferently. It's black and white thinking, my way or the highway. And that's all 3D. But as we mature as adults, hopefully we do, you go up into 4D, which the first step is courage. The courage to speak your truth, the courage to set boundaries, the courage to start loving you and not letting people step on your toes. And then the next one is neutrality. So I call baseline courage and neutrality. The neutrality to be feasible and flexible, to see the gray areas, not black and white anymore, and agree to disagree. And then there's compassion and patience and forgiveness and acceptance, and then love. And then the sweet spot is the 5D, which is where you are one with your creator. You have self-love, you've got joy, you've got bliss, you've got peace, and you have this oneness. It's all about connection. It's one with everything in the universe. You're not separate, because 3D is all separation. And I like to say, and when it comes to 4D, every human being wants another person to show them 4D when they make an error in judgment, not a mistake. They want to be forgiven. They want compassion. They want mercy. They want understanding. They want someone to be patient and kind with them, especially when it has to do with trauma.
Yeah, we're all suffering from trauma.
Yes. And a lot of people, there's 17 ways people can be traumatized, and a lot of people don't realize that. The hurricanes, that's trauma.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. And I kind of got into my spiritual path because of trauma. And that's how I started to dive down. And I got into like quantum healing hypnosis technique. And I started reading Dolores's books. I read Joe Dispenza. I try to keep myself in 5D as well. And I actually had a spiritual awakening where I healed my inner child. And I realized that I'm a soul having a human experience, not a human having a soul experience. And I'm
100%.
trying. Yeah. And I'm trying to bring that out. Like, that's the fun thing about this podcast is I get so many brilliant minds on here that show us more wisdom, more knowledge, just more tools to build yourself, make yourself grow, just trying new things. Like myself, I tried to retreat with my fiance. The best thing I ever did. That was unreal. I met these two complete strangers, and by the end of it, they were like family to me. And
that is so awesome.
I love that what you do, and I love that we're like both hypnotherapists, and we're both like trying to help people facilitate their own healing, because the neat thing I've learned about the mind is it'll heal itself if you believe it will.
100%. I remember working with a gentleman that got pancreatic cancer the second time, and he went to the doctor, and he did not want to do any of the chemo or radiation, any of those treatments. And the doctor said, well, you got 30 days to decide what you want to do. And he came to me and he's like, hey, I hear the power of hypnotherapy. Can this work? And I said, yes, but I'm the tour guide. You're the one that's got to take the journey. You have to make the commitment to listen every day for 30 days and really use your imagination, visualize it. And I did not use the word cancerous cells. I used the word malignant cells, because it's a negative word to a lot of people. And cancer is a scary word. So you don't want to use a scary word. Malignant cells is more congruent and neutral. So think about it as that's 4D, cancer's 3D. That's fear. And within 30 days, the cancer was gone. Yeah,
Beautiful.
he went to the doctor, and he was just like, I'm not a religious man, but I'm going to church this Sunday. And I was like, great. There's so many stories I've heard from people. And inner child, oh my God, that is my favorite, favorite, because I tell people this is how you know what kind of home you were raised in. So if you were raised in a 4D home and you were a little kid and you broke a vase or you broke something, your parent will have the ability to rise out of anger, because anger vibrates at, where is it? Anger. At 150. They will be able to go up to courage to calm down. They go all the way up to neutrality. And they will say, sweetie, accidents happen. I forgive you. It's okay. I know it's mommy's favorite vase. And yeah, I'll need some of your allowance, but it's okay. We need to be mindful, just be careful about running through the house, walk gently. That's a 4D parent, a mature parent. A 3D parent will not get out of anger. They will raise their voice. They will shame you. They will spank you. They will ground you. They'll make you feel bad. And the hard part is they're parenting the way that they were parented. They did not intentionally intend to screw you over in any way. And if you probably learned about their childhood, you would be like, oh my God, thank you for not doing that stuff that your parents did to you. And so that's where all their core wounds happen is, I'm not good enough. I'm unimportant. I'm unlovable. I don't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. And then all those wounds, as you know, carry into our relationships, our work, the way we manage money, every area of our life. And so to me, that's what Master the Upper Rooms is all about, is when you get triggered, you stop and you go within and you look for the opportunity to clear it within yourself and ask yourself, like, when you hear that inner critic, is that my voice or is that my mom's? Is that my dad's? Is that my grandmother? Whose voice is that? And don't be afraid to have a conversation with it. Because I mean, when I did my inner child stuff, because I experienced trauma too, Andrew, my inner child was afraid of me because she had so much shame and guilt about something that happened many, many years ago. And I had to parent her. I had to literally go in and say, sweetie, I am sorry. Our parents sucked. I love you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to be the best mom that you need and you deserve. I'm going to love you. Let's be a family again. Let's be whole. And as you know, there could be parts that are associated to that one inner child. Like, I don't know if you're trained in NLP or know about IFS, internal family systems, but there are no bad parts. They're all here to protect you so you don't get wounded again. And so it appears to be self-sabotage, but it really is not self-sabotage.
That's fair. Yeah, no, my trauma was mainly confidence. I was very shy, and every time I'd walk into a room, I'd hear people laughing, and I always think they were laughing at me. And I was bullied a lot because I had a very vivid imagination. Even my teachers would allow me to just stay outside and play all day and not teach me anything. And like it was a different growing up. The real inspiration was my grandmother, because she taught me a lot about manners and taught me a lot about having more confidence. And she was the type that would she would get angry, but then she would like level out, and then she would just get down to it and say, oh, it's okay, mistakes
See?
happen. Yeah.
And that's the thing we love about those people, because they inspire us, they motivate us. They're literally like a shining light of how humanity could be and should be. Because if you think about it, imagine how the world would be if everyone could master just 4D, where we all have forgiveness, we all can find positive solutions instead of war or destruction or, my way or the highway. There would be plenty enough money to go around, enough food. It would be a beautiful place to live, a whole new world. And I would love to, I don't know if I'll ever see that in my generation, but I really hope for humanity we one day get there.
I think we will get there. It's just going to take time. I mean, you see what technology's doing. I mean, once AI is fully operational, people will have no choice but to do the inner work, because a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. and they're
Yeah.
going to have to find new ways to make a living. And there's going to be so many wonderful people like ourselves that are going to be out there to show them doors that they can open and start their inner growth and start finding something that they're passionate about. And that's what people are not doing anymore. They're not passion driven about jobs. They're just going to school and they're doing a job just to make ends meet, pay the bills. And it's like an ongoing cycle, and they're not really living to live. They're just living to exist.
100%. And that's why I tell people is we have structures that were set in place that did work at a time when we were, at a different level of, thought patterns. And now those structures are collapsing. It's like chaos can create great change. And so the ones that profited off of those, old school money feel threatened. They're stuck in fear. They don't want it to change. And we as a society is like, no, it has to change. It's not separation anymore. This is about oneness, a community where we all come together. And that's something that I think is kind of sad. I mentioned to my husband, you know, I thought it was great when we would have block parties. You would have neighborhood parties. Christmas time, ugly sweater party. People would come over and it was awesome. But do we do that stuff now? We're afraid of our neighbors. And that's separation. And that's all the fear mongering. So you have to decide, what do you want to listen to? Do you want to listen to that, or do you want to listen to your heart?
Yeah, it's tough right now because people are so like, if one thing could go away, it would be television. Television and the news, because the news just sparks people in a different way. Because I can have a conversation with one of my family members and they'll get so hostile over the news. And it's like, why? Why are you watching that, garbage? Why are you believing something that's not real? You
Well,
have
and that's
control
the
of it.
hard. Yeah, at least we knew back in the day that the National Enquirer was literally just garbage, that but some people believe that stuff, but it
Yes,
went away. But now we don't know what news is factual, what is truth, what is lies. And there's that saying about the great big lie. If it's told enough times, people will believe it.
totally.
But it was a lie.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I tried, like, I kind of had to distance myself from family and friends because they they basically said I'm nuts, and I'm not making any sense on what I'm talking about, and they say they support me, but I'm starting to see it as more of they're just listening to respond and not listening to listen. So I've learned to distance myself from those people, and I'm starting to build my own community of like-minded individuals like myself. And I'm lucky that I have a fiance who's very supportive and inspiring, because she's like, don't worry about it, just keep doing your thing, because you're helping so many with that podcast, and you're
Yep.
doing so much good with that QHHT that you've done. And at some point I'd like to be a coach. Like, I'd love to coach people, because I know a lot of people get bullied, especially cyberbullying nowadays. That's
Oh
really
yeah.
popular. So that's my goal. My end goal is to be a coach and a speaker.
Well, I think you can do it, Andrew. I think you'd rock at it. And we need it. I mean, there's a great book out there called The Anxious Generation. And just the statistical information is mind-blowing, because I mean, I know there's some positive sides to social media, but for young adults, it's so destructive. Like women, young girls, their depression and anxiety has like skyrocketed. And because they're comparing themselves to all these other, people, and we have filters that can make you look more glamorous, and even my husband watches those Facebook reels, and he's like, I wondered one day how many of these, he'll see a cute kitty thing, but they throw in, because he's an older man, these young skinny girls. And he said, I looked at this one girl and I'm like, she is too perfect. And I taught him the trick. Look at their hands. And he's like, man, her hands were mutated. I'm like, so that wasn't a real person. That was AI generated. But a lot of these young girls are going to look at that girl and say, I want to look like that. Why do I look like this? And then they feel bad about themselves and they doubt themselves. And nobody needs that. I mean, I get to the place with a lot of people is you got to love you, because you're going to meet a man that, and I hope this is not too embarrassing, who's going to love that dimple on your butt and think it's the most cutest thing. When you hate it, he's going to love it, because it's you. It's a part of you, like your freckles or your stretch marks or your scars, you know, whatever it is, that person's just going to love you because it's about what's in here, not about this. This is just a vessel, because you are right. You are a spiritual being having a human experience.
Yeah, no, it's amazing you say that, because the one thing my fiance loves the most about me is my dimples. So when I smile, she's like, she pokes my dimples, and
You
she
know, I
loves
have one
for it.
too, right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I totally get it. But no, yeah, it's people will start to realize it eventually. I think a lot of people are starting to wake up, because there's a lot more people asking questions now. There's a lot more. I mean, protests are great and all, but at the same time, they're not, because they're providing energy that's negative energy, and it's spreading around the world. And I read this book, and I'm going to quote it every time, but it's called Messages in the Water. And it was written
Oh,
by,
yeah.
yeah, and they were around the pond and everything, and they did that prayer. So what
Yes.
I do every morning, I learned this 6-phase meditation where it talks about picturing someone who you truly love, and then imagine a color, and then imagine that color engulfing your entire body. Now witness that color expanding through the room, through your entire building, through your street, through your city, through your country, eventually the world. And then you say a blessing for the world, your country, your neighborhood, you. And it's pretty cool, like, to see that color. I could see the color of teal, like it's visualizing teal around the earth, and teal is for harmonics. So I'm sending harmony to everyone. And that's why I love spirituality, is because it connects us, because we're all connected, because we all come
Yes, we
from
are.
source. So, and that's the beautiful thing I learned in my QHHT, and from Dolores Cannon's books, Joe Dispenza's books, like even like the guests on the show that they've told me about their spiritual journey. It's been wonderful.
And I love what you're doing, because I have a podcast too, and I really enjoy interviewing people and talking to like-minded people. And what's really fascinating is there's some people that are like, oh my God, I just came out of the closet a year ago. And it's weird, because you think, oh, it's only come out of the closet because you're gay. But no, there's lots and lots of spiritual people that can channel or know they have certain abilities, but they were told, you're crazy. And no one wants to be put in a straitjacket.
No,
No.
no. But how do you learn to channel? Like, what sort of, is it through meditation, or how do you channel?
It is. I first started reading lots of books about channeling when I was God, when I was in high school even, and when I was in college, and all the way up, like Abraham Hicks. I saw them for the first time when there was probably maybe 80 to 100 people. Yeah, this was in Terra Linda, San Rafael, California. And the next time I saw them, there was, God, probably at least 1,000 people. Huge amount. But what I did was, after when I saw her for the first time and I saw what she did, I said, I want to do that. And I literally wrote myself a script of what I was going to say before each person. So when I sit down and I record, the first 30 seconds is me praying and connecting to them, connecting to this, connecting to whatever loved ones want to come in and talk for the highest and the best for that person. And I've gotten to the place now, I just sit in front of my mic and I listen, and it just comes right out of me. It's a really cool, I mean, it blows people away, like, how can you do that? You know? And one time I actually worked with a Catholic nun, of all things. She had PTSD. The church tried helping her, but they couldn't. And then she tried killing herself, literally tried running through a glass placed window. And someone in the community told her about me and said, go see this woman. And when she sat in that chair at the end of the session, she was like, and hopefully people are okay with this. She said, do you know God talks to you? And I looked at her and I was really nervous, like, oh my God, you're putting me on the hot seat. And I said, well, how do you know? And she said, because everything you said and described and created, I was there a step ahead of you, or at least you were holding my hand, walking me through the whole thing. She's like, how do you do that? There's only one way. It's got to be God talking to you. And I said, well, I was with you every step of the way because I saw everything they told me, the green mist, create this garden for her, say this, say that. And in 2 sessions, her PTSD was gone. And she called me her spiritual advisor, which would be like, the church would be like, no, you can't do that. So we were friends in secret, which I think is really sad because
Yeah.
we became best friends. She's like, I love you and I loved her. And it was this beautiful relationship. But the church, oh my God, it would forbid it.
Yeah, unfortunately, religion and spirituality, they're the same things, but when it comes to the church religion, it's a lot. And it's unfortunate because the two would be wonderful together because you would heal so many people. You would no longer need pharmaceuticals. You would no longer need any form of drugs. You would just to get either from the plant or your mind, your mindset, your abilities, your energy. Like they consider it new age. So it's crazy. It's woohoo. It's no, I don't believe that. Like, I need this medication. I need that medication. Oh, this person told me I have cancer. The reason we all get cancer is because we're holding on to something. We're holding on to a lot of anger, a lot of rage. And what that cancer is doing, it's festering through our entire body. And the neat thing I learned about our body is our cells rejuvenate every 9 months.
Yep.
So what people don't understand that, and it's like, you just wait 9 months and you don't even need chemo. Like, your body will fix itself. It's phenomenal what the body can do. And if you talk to your body, like I talk to my body, I try to talk to my body periodically. I bless my body. I bless my food. I try to give it all the energy and love it needs. And that's why I had to change everything because I went to a lady who had this machine that measures your frequency. And I used to be a bodybuilder. I used to go to the gym. I used to do all that. And my body said, nope, you need to do Tai Chi. You need to do meditation, Qigong, like Taoism. You need to get into that. And I changed it completely. I don't eat meat no more, hardly. Once in a blue moon, I'll eat meat, but mostly it's straight vegetables, straight fruit, hardly any carbs, a lot of juicing, some intermittent fasting, a lot of tea, like no alcohol, no smoking. I completely changed my identity, my body, everything. And I've never felt so much better. And meditation for me has brought me so many interesting gifts. Like, I was able to talk to my mother who passed away. I was able to talk to my grandmother. It
Yep,
was
you can.
fascinating. Yeah, it was wicked. So, and then just to hear that they're proud of me just drove me more to the podcast, drove me more to QHHT, drove me more to just quitting my job and becoming my own boss and becoming a healer or some form just to help people. That's what I want to do.
Well, even sharing your story is helping and healing people. It really is because we have so much power within us. I mean, we're energetic beings, as you know, and all those 3D thought patterns it's a low density energy that just drains us, drains us. And the beautiful thing is, once you get up into 40 and even 5, you don't hear that inner critic anymore. You literally don't. I mean, because it was interesting. I was just recently sitting down, talking to another therapist person, and my husband was in the room. And the woman stopped and said, "Are you like berating yourself in your mind?" And I looked at her and I kind of laughed and I said, "I haven't berated myself in years. I don't do that." And my husband said, "I do it all the time." And I was like, "What?" Like, "Oh, sweetie, you got to stop that." He's like, "Yeah, I worry about everything. I got really high anxiety." And I'm like, "Dude, that's all 3D. You got to rise up out of it." And that is the beautiful thing, because I remember hearing a woman working on a TED Talk, and I loved the message that she had about her body. And she said she always, for years, struggled with her weight, been on any diet she could find. She even had the bypass surgery and gained all the weight back. And she said, "Not until I stopped and I made peace with my body and I started to love myself did everything change. The weight came off. My eating habits changed. It's just like I made peace with my body. I was no longer fighting it or hating it. And as you know, you create those cells that kill the happy cells. Joe Dispenza talks all about that. So she started putting more happy cells in her body that then transformed her physically inside. Yeah, it was beautiful. She tapped into the power, the magic within her. And that's, I think, what all of us are here to learn is self-love and how to become one with our creator. That is our end goal, is to have joy and bliss, because we can be in heaven or hell. We all have a choice of how we want to live our life.
Totally. I understand that because I've been on both sides. So I
Yep.
was in hell. So, and because I'm just brand new, like I started my spiritual journey, like basically this year. Like I started in 2022, but I never really got into it. I was kind of more down the rabbit hole and getting into conspiracy theories and all that other fear mongering on the other side. And like, and just this year, like changing that aspect and that mindset has made me grow as an adult and a spirit, because I've learned that forgiveness is very powerful. And when you forgive someone or forgive your country, your government, whatever, it takes away all that. And that's what I try to instill onto my family is if you stop focusing on the negative and you just forgive them, eventually they'll go away because you're not putting any more energy and you're not putting any more fuel in that fire. And the protesting and everything, it's like Mother Teresa said it the best: I will never go to a protest, but I will go to a peace rally.
Yeah.
So when we spread peace, it's way better than spreading hate. And then you got the television that's stand up to hate. It's like nobody hates anymore. We're all divided because it was set up so we would be divided. So
Yes.
because
Thank you
if
for saying that.
if we were all together, we would be unstoppable. There would no need for government. There would be no need for healthcare because we would all be able to heal ourselves. We'd all be able to grow our own food. We'd all be able to police ourselves because we would know that was wrong. And any time that someone got into a lower vibration, we would counsel them.
Yes. Yeah. And that's, it's like that's what I tell a lot of people when they're stuck in I can't forgive, what they did was so heinous and this and that. But forgiveness really is for you. It is for you, because that person could die and still live rent free in your mind, wreaking havoc, making you cry, making you feel bad about yourself as an individual. And And that's what I love about Master the Upper Rooms, is it helps you see the flip side. So I'll share this really quick example. I was working with one man that tried for 20 years to forgive his ex-wife who was narcissistic, just couldn't stand her. And I said to him, "Well, have you ever been unconditionally loved?" And he said, "Yes, my mom loved me unconditionally, completely, and it was wonderful." I said, "Well, you're lucky, because not many people have been loved unconditionally. I didn't grow up in a home where I got unconditional love. I know lots of people didn't. So you got blessed by that. So the problem is you got love bombed, and it was a fake form of love. And you didn't know the difference. We didn't talk about narcissism back then. But think about her childhood where she was abused, because we humans create these narcissistic people. They're not born that way. So could you have compassion for her, for the way that she was treated, which was very unfairly, because you were fortunate and she wasn't. She suffered and experienced trauma, which then created her the way that she is. And he was like, I never thought about it that way. And I said, so you can find acceptance for her and you can find reasoning for her and look at it as why your dating life right now sucks is she taught you a bad behavior. You're probably love bombing these new women and they don't want to be love bombed. They want an emotional connection. They want to get to know who you are first on the inside. And when he started thinking about that, because I said, you could have love now. He was like, oh my God. And it just took me 20 minutes to shift his perspective. And he was like, what did you just do? I now can forgive her. I'm laughing about this stuff. I'm joyful. And I showed him the chart that I have on my website for free. And he was like, that is fascinating. And I said, anybody can do it. I figured out where your set point was. You were stuck in blame. And I walked you all the way up. I moved you past the anger, past the hatred, past the disappointment, past your ego, because it's like, we can get stuck in pride. But I took you up to courage and neutrality. And I just weaved it all the way up and you got unhooked. And so it was a beautiful thing. I said, so all those women that you dated, if there's one or two you really, really liked and you kind of blew it, call them. Tell them, I'm sorry. This is what I discovered. I really like you. I want an emotional relationship. Let's be friends first. And that's the problem with society right now is it's all about superficial. Swipe left, swipe right. You're not forming that emotional connection because that's what's going to last in any relationship. People aren't disposable.
No, they're not. So, what is some wonderful wisdom you can instill onto my audience that are struggling right now and need some guidance?
The words of wisdom is to remember that everything is temporary. Nothing is permanent. Everything is temporary. And just remembering that can give you hope and peace. Because a couple of years ago, I was in a really bad place and I had to cling on to being courageous and neutral and accepting something I didn't like, but realizing that it was just temporary. And I held my faith and I stayed, at a place of neutrality and I just trusted everything was going to work out. And it did, because I could have been stuck in fear and then I would create and manifest more fear. But I was like, nope, the universe has whatever lesson for this, whatever, purpose for this. And when I came out at the end of it, it was like, now I can look back and I see the wisdom. I see the information, the tools, the guidance. That was the biggest thing because I could have been stuck in 3D. Hated that person, hating what they did. Because, yeah, I dealt with someone that was narcissistic and it was extremely hard. And so it taught me to learn about attachment styles, to learn about trauma bonding, to learn a lot about, going within me, why did I attract this person in my life? What is this person here to teach me? And now I can say, yes, I love that person, regardless of all those mean things they did. And why I love them is because they're created out of light and love, just like me, just like you, Andrew. And that's really hard for people to grasp that concept. But if you can't love them, then you can't really fully love yourself. And what you don't like is their behavior or their personality or their attitude. I mean, if they're a jerk, okay, fine, they're a jerk. But you can still just love the person. And people are like, no, you can't. No, you can't. No, you really can. You can. You got to raise up out of all that hate and anger because it kills you inside. It destroys your cells. It creates dis-ease within the physical body.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation, Keri. I'm so grateful to have met you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and much love to you.
Much love to you too, Andrew, and have a fantastic day.
I hope everyone enjoyed the show today. I hope you understand the power that you have with shifting yourself out of 3D into 4D and then eventually ascending into 5D. You are a beautiful human being. You are also a glowing energy. And you have the ability to do anything you desire. You just have to believe in yourself. And when it comes to getting angry with someone, just remember that person did that for a reason because they were either taught that way or it was learnt, or they've just been in that trauma that they've dealt with it and it's absorbed their mind and their soul, and they're just as lost as you are. Forgiveness is a very powerful emotion. When you forgive, you allow yourselves to open up and understand that you can be loved no matter who you are, and that is, we are all equal. And that is because we all come from the same source. Believe in yourself. Believe in the people around you. Focus on what you love, not focus on what you don't love. Focus on building yourself so you can grow spiritually, do the inner growth, heal your inner child. Allow yourself to go out and interact with people. Don't be afraid to say hello. Don't be afraid to wave or smile. It's okay. You are not alone. Everyone is afraid. Everyone is afraid. Everyone has, trauma. Everyone has fear-based. Either it's through watching television or watching social media. You're allowing yourselves to tap into that frequency. Instead of that, a suggestion would be to tap into something that's loving, that's caring. Give yourself a chart. Make yourself a chart of steps you want to do, goals you want to achieve, dreams you have. Focus on that. Focus on building a beautiful relationship with your significant other, your children, your family, your friends. Focus on that. Focus on building something wonderful and creative. Let your mind go. Your mind is so beautiful. It has so many wonderful, enlightening wisdom. Well, I hope you enjoyed this show. And I would love it if you guys email me. If you want to talk, if you want to communicate, I'm down for it. I want to know that my show is giving you something for your healing. If not, that's fine too. You can remain anonymous. You don't have to reach out. But it's nice to hear that people are listening to the show and you're downloading the show. Also, I have a YouTube channel now where you can see the interviews on camera and you don't have to listen to the audio. You get a mixture of both. And there's also Spotify, of course, and Apple Podcasts if you can leave a review. If not, that's fine too. I just want to make sure that everyone is getting something wonderful from this podcast. And that's my goal. I just want people to feel good because everyone deserves to feel good. And I love each and every one of you. Much love to all of you. Bye.